Scaramanga. It's a cool character. It's a really great concept. I just don't think the movie does enough for him to be like, yeah, this beats, or this, like, apologizes for everything else in this movie with, whistle blood, what was it? The whistle, from the car chase or whatever, all that stuff. Like, it doesn't excuse that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you're like telling me that, like, oh no, this movie's great because it's about him and Scaramanga and like all the stuff. But I'm like, there's a lot of problems with this movie. Sure. And I'm not on board with it being number one. That being said, though, if it were my choice, I'd probably put it in the bottom. But I think somewhere in the middle, I would be happy with. I'm like, eh.
Do you have a spot? Do you have a spot reserved?
I don't think it's the top 3. And my feelings on her on Secret Service, but I do think it's, probably could be above Thunderball, maybe.
So 5.
And right? Here is my thought as well. That I agree with you two more on Goodnight than I would agree with Charlie's previous arguments. I honestly believe that Scaramanga versus Bond and Knick-Knack versus Scaramanga, that relationship between those 3 drives this movie higher. That relationship, I just love the whole dynamic of the whole movie. Knick-Knack versus Scaramanga, and once again, that back and back, that I don't want him to die, but I want him to die, or do I? And then the end reaction. And just the man versus man of Bond versus Scaramanga takes this higher. So I would say my position for this movie, outside of Goodnight, everything else. And I would also like to say that from your guys' previous arguments, if Miss Anderson could have been the Bond girl, like throughout this, if that was continued, that might have played out better. So that also brings this movie down.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if it was Goodnight that died instead of Anders?
Exactly.
And I think that's what but I think, that's the thing. It's like any other Bond movie would have done that.
But I would still put this movie at 3 or 4.
I thought that Scaramanga has sent the bullet to Bond /MI6 as like a I'm coming for you sort of thing. But in rewatching this movie, it sounded like that's not what
Miss Sanders
happened.
Miss Sanders.
Oh, Miss Sanders sent, that's right.
Yep. She sent it to have Bond save
sending
her.
it for help.
Something I wanted to ask you guys was that, like, is there any reason why they couldn't have just analyzed the bullet that was sent in the first place? Because it's a real bullet. It's not like it's like if it was fake, they'd be like, oh, this is fake and it's just an empty threat. But like, so therefore it must be real. So she had to have stolen. So, okay. So like, yeah. The lie from the outset is that Scaramanga sent the bullet to just like, I'm coming after you, Bond. And after having seen the prologue, we know that, we're like, oh, he's coming after Bond. He just shot the fingers off the mannequin. Revealed later is that she sent it because she wants to be rid of him, but she can't leave, and she fantasizes about Bond saving her. So, and she's aware of Scaramanga's weird obsession with Bond. She even says, he has a likeness of you. She steals a bullet, which, like, that could have got her fucking killed in the first place. So, anyway, so, but like, yeah, why, you even mentioned this before, Nance, why couldn't they just analyze the bullet? Bond, but the only thing Bond says is he's like, oh, because he's like, hey, look at that, it has my number on it. And then it's like, it'd be useless as a bullet. Well, yeah, because it has his number on it, but otherwise it's fine. And then right after that scene, that's when he's like, I'm going to go to Beirut and find the bullet that killed Bill Fairbanks, aka 002, and then he has that bullet analyzed. So like, yeah, right? Like, nobody can think of any reason why they couldn't have just analyzed the first bullet, other than the fact that, like, Bond was put on leave, but that shouldn't matter anyway. It's just like, hey, Q, can you take a look at this real quick?
The clear plot to me would have been, had other 00 agents been killed, and that was the intro, and we saw the end of the Golden Gun killing those other agents, and then it was like, oh, well, Bond, you're next. But the last movie kills a bunch of 00 agents in the beginning of the movie, and then he goes to investigate. And I'm like sitting there thinking, as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, that would have gotten me into the movie even more so than, Carnival Funhouse and all this other stuff.
But again, here's the problem with that. It's not just that Scaramanga just wants to kill a bunch of British agents just to do it. I mean, the guy makes $1 million a contract by just killing people that other people hire him to kill. He doesn't have some personal vendetta against Britain or against MI6 and all these 00s. he wants Bond because Bond's the best. If Bond happened to be a Russian, he would still want to go after Russian Bond. It has nothing to do with 00's, any other agency. It only has to do with these two guys' reputations. All fucking movies about reputation.
This is also brings me to the scene where I think a lot of people have problems with this movie. And I know, Charlie, you and Nans kind of were like, but his life was threatened in the scene. And I'm like, this just feels very out of character for Bond to be as aggressive as he is towards Maude Adams' character. And
Bond or Roger Moore?
Bond is constantly slapping women,
say,
like constantly beating the shit out of women.
If you watch the scene, though, it's like he is, I mean, like, slapping a woman once in the scene and minting the pint across, like, I get it, but, like, he's just keeps going and going,
Dude,
and I'm like,
she had a gun on him. Hold on. You act like he just takes his pants off and she's gonna just drop the gun and suck his.
I mean, it's Bond. He should be able to, charm the shit out of her.
She's also with the other guy. She's with the other guy. Forget about Scaramanga. I'm gonna suck your.
Charlie, if we're living in this world where Scaramanga knows what Bond looks like and has a mannequin made of James Bond, like, she should know that this is James Bond, right? Like, why would you pull on the gun on the person that you are purposely trying, like, your message? Bullet, yeah, she sent the bullet.
Wouldn't she be like, then, oh, yes.
Exactly. And then she would have been like, I'm the one who sent you the bullet. And he's like, wait, what? Like, there's not that scene. Instead, we get this scene where she pulls a gun on him. And it's like, I think the last time you were saying, well, it's like, well, she didn't know she was in danger. I'm like, she knew because she sent the bullet. And, like, that kind of trips up the plot and the script of the movie a little bit, where I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense if she said, hey, look, I'm going to help you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and I've thought of that.
Please believe me, I'm risking my life to come here.
I think the answer with that, though, is that she is terrified. I mean, this woman has been terrified this whole time, and I don't think she's just going to jump into Bond's arms until she's kind of like figured out the situation.
Either, but pulling a gun on James Bond doesn't really make sense either.
Yeah.
Well, Bond surprises her in the shower. Like, what she's going to be like, oh yeah, come on in here. Oh, Bond, you got my bullet. Come in here. Like, she slowly.
That scene could have been played completely different, but it doesn't make sense why she still pulls a gun on him. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Why would she request Bond specifically? The bullet maybe should have just said MI6 on it, and then that shower scene would make a little more sense.
But Charlie did make a point, though, that it's because she knows that Scaramanga has a fascination with Bond. And I'm like, okay, I get that. That's fine. Great.
Yeah.
But it's like, that being said, if she requested Bond, if she knows what Bond looks like because there's a damn mannequin in his funhouse... So she knows what Bond looks like.
Yeah.
And
I think she's afraid, though, dude. You cannot discount the fear that she is under. Like,
I am not discounting
and her
the fear, but
is
the
not
choice of where you're
unjustified
going
because inevitably he does kill her.
Mistress cannot serve two masters. A difficult shot, but most gratifying.
She's afraid, but why would she be afraid of the person that she sent
a woman being
to save
surprised
her?
As she's naked in the shower is not just going to be like, hey, come on in. She's afraid. She pulls a gun on him, and Bond is being all playful, but she's like, it would be a little ridiculous if she just jumped into his arms, as opposed to checking out the situation.
I'm not saying that she should jump to his arms, but the fact that she has the gun on him and then realizes it's James Bond, you're like, oh, you're here. Like,
he's still
wouldn't
Bond,
that make more
though.
sense?
He's still
like,
Bond.
I don't know why she
on
keeps the gun on her when
yes.
she knows it's James Bond.
On one hand, logically, yes, but you're discounting the character who is under a constant state of fear. You are. A constant state of fear.
And then she's got the person that she sent.
Bullet. Can I suck your dick now? Hey, I gotta get these bullets over to Scaramanga. No. She's fucking terrified, and then justifiably so, because he blows her away with no regard. Like, Scaramanga's like, she's replaceable.
And
like,
I have no issue with
she
Bond
knows
being
that.
rough with her, but I guess in another, looking at that whole scene in a different light, like we are, he could have been like, whoa, like, hey, I'm Bond, like, you asked for me to come help.
He didn't know.
He doesn't know that. But
at that point,
he
he
didn't know that.
She revealed later.
Order of events, okay? He gets the bullet. He assumes it's Scaramanga. He goes looking for Scaramanga. On the trail of Scaramanga, he finds Miss Anders. He surprises her by breaking into her hotel room while she's in the shower. She looks at him like, holy shit. She's got him at gunpoint. They walk out into the living room. She's still got him at gunpoint. She phones the police. She hangs up because Bond is fondling the bullets.
He smacks the gun
Bond
out.
then smacks the gun out of her hand and gets the information out of her about Scaramanga. Then we have a couple of scenes, and then when he's trying to bang Goodnight, that's when I'm so distracted by McCurdy right now. God damn it. That's when Miss Anders comes in and reveals to him, like, hey, it was me that sent the bullet. I need you to kill Scaramanga, aka my lover, and I'll get you the Solex. That's when she unloads all of that. And I every time I watch it, I'm like, I can believe that flow, that she doesn't just, because she doesn't like, and I'm sorry, men and women aren't the same. This is what chicks do. I need to make sure that the ground is solid before I step off the last one. She's not going to like let go of the previous branch until she knows that this branch is steady. Because as of now, she's protected under Scaramanga. She is literally the safest person on the planet because she has the top assassin who would like kill anybody that would fuck with her. But she wants to get away from him. So she needs to make sure that Bond can take him out before she makes that leap. Yeah. And look what happens when she does make that leap. She gets fucking killed. So it makes sense that she would be terrified to just jump into Bond's arms. And then suddenly, I mean, Scaramanga would then just like hunt her down.
He's a monster. I hate him.
Then leave him.
You don't walk out on Scaramanga. There's no place he wouldn't find me.
You need a good lawyer.
I need 007.
Scaramanga is the most dangerous man on the planet. So she needs Bond to take him out. I mean, it all adds up for me if you look at the character as opposed to what you would do.
Yeah, that makes sense.